You're staring at 911 royalty in the UK at least, because GVB 911D was one of the very first right-hand drive 911s in the country. Not only that, but in 1967, a year after it came in, it was entered into a race called Rallycross, the very first Rallycross race in history, here at Lydden Hill in Kent. Probably on a better day than today, where it went and won with the hands of Vic Elford. Not related to Dakar whatsoever. Porsche, of course, started entering into motorsport thereafter and was very, very successful with the 911. This is the car I want to talk about today, though. A very unusual idea, by all accounts, drawing on motorsport from years ago, from the 80s, when Porsche started doing Dakar with all-wheel drive stuff. This is a road-going car based upon the GTS with the Dakar nameplate, mostly because they couldn't use Safari. That's another story entirely. And today we're going to take this car out on the track and have a look around it to understand what goes into this, restricted to only 2,500 cars worldwide. Is it any good? The 911 Dakar? Who knows? I'm Jonny Smith. This is The Late Break Show, and this episode is proudly supported by blackcircles.com, Britain's largest online tyre retailer. I'm wet. So yes, we're not anywhere near Dakar. We are in a very rainy, muddy Kent. Probably ideally suited to this. But where does the all-wheel drive 911 story start? Well, that starts in 1981 at the Frankfurt Motor Show, where they showcased the concept of a convertible, of all things, 3.3 turbo 911. 1983, they started with a 953, which is all-wheel drive, and that was developed for the Dakar, and in 84, a year later, it actually won.
The four-wheel brigade. Here you can see why the Porsche four-wheel drive had been given longer suspension travel.
Fastest on both these stages. René Mech was second fastest on both and now leads the Paris-Dakar overall. By tonight, X, Mech and Kussmaul will have claimed a Rothmans Porsche 123 for this stage.
Porsche doubled Germany's domination of today, with X, Mech and Kussmaul again taking the top three places, leaving Trossard and Gabbro to pick up fourth and fifth.
Then, of course, you had in 1986 the 959, which is the car I remember, the Tamiya model. They did a Tamiya model in these colours and it was amazing. That car first showcased 1986 at the Dakar, where it won. First production 911 was actually in 88, which was the 964. Anyway, brief history lesson over of all-wheel drive 911s. That car there is the GTS, and that is the model that the Dakar is based on. So that there was used as the basis of it, the donor of it, because mostly of the way the engine behaves. Huge amount of torque, low down at 2200 RPM or similar. So that is why they decided, and also it's a Carrera 4 GTS, so four-wheel drive, naturally. Let's go into the details, the differences though. Firstly, on the front end, that there is a carbon bonnet from a GT3. You can see these extra nostrils in here. And you might notice, if you're a hawk-eyed viewer, that there is a bit of a sort of like skid plate. That is stainless steel, and that has been put there to allow, kind of guess, protection from things like jumps and inclines and declines. And that means the central radiator that all 911s have isn't there anymore, doesn't exist. And these two pods either side, which normally have active cooling, they don't have active cooling anymore. They've just got metal gauze over completely open rads, but they've got extra fans from a turbo, I think 670 watt fans. So there's no cooling there, there's lots of cooling here. And that is to protect, so you can play around. And that's why you've got this massive bright red towing eye, front and rear, actually. That car there is 122,700 quid, the GTS Carrera 4. That is £50,000 more. It starts at 173 grand basic, and this paint, which is the Rally Design package, which includes the rough roads, definitely not Rothmans. It's basically a two-tone paint with decals added on it. That's 18.5 grand with white painted wheels. They are white, they don't look it today. And a number of other things like the white carbon spoiler, which we'll come on to when we flip the car around. So yeah, it's an expensive car. It's 200 grand as we look at it here and now in the rain in Kent. Because it's PDK only, I'll be using the flappy paddles, and let's have a go. So we've got the much longer travel suspension. That's one of the main Dakar features, and it's these chunkier tyres, the off-road tyres. Oh, you naughty swine. And because it's four-wheel drive based upon the Carrera 4 GTS, of course, it needs grip in all these sort of conditions. So no, this is not Moroccan dunes. This is British. This is British. Bad weather conditions, that's what this is. Man, the torque on this, I forgot how good the torque is on this thing. It's fantastic. A little bit of understeer on there, going in. Okay. Because of these sort of double carcassed 40 profile tyres, 19s and 20s, you can feel it moves around like an older car. It kind of feels like a resto modded older car. I say that with great respect. I'm just trying to provoke it now, trying to work out what it wants to do. But over the yump, bit of air shitting hell. Feels so strange to do this in what is a very premium car, you know. This shouldn't really work. This shouldn't really be a thing, should it? I'm here going, why should this be a thing? It seems ridiculous on paper. But here I am going round a grueling rallycross circuit. It's narrow and it's tight and it's dirty, and the curbs ahead right now, can you see them? They're like shark fins, they're so aggressive. And then you transition now onto the really dirty stuff, into this horrific, I short shifted there mid-corner. Wow, this is such fun. I'm getting definite Nomad vibes. Nomad vibes here. Because the Aerial Nomad was a surprise, a car which wasn't convinced people would get it or like it, or there was a market. Porsche said this has been in development on the QT for 10 years. Okay, that's nice. Slidey slide. I've got to say, viewers, I'm sorry if I'm not on full par today. I woke up this morning feeling really shit, but I'm on the painkillers, and I'm on the coffee, and I'm on the Dakar. but not. I'm on the Lydden Hill diet. Do you know what I hope? I hope people that buy these cars, all 2,500 of them, or at least 1,000 of them actually use the bloody things. Now, whatever it is, 570 Newton meters of torque, you can really feel it through these tyres. There's so much movement, but it's predictable, which I'm so pleased about, given that it's rainy and a bit cold and grim. You need it to be predictable. With a loose surface, it's so much fun. Straighten up for the yump, short shift. I feel the sense of responsibility in my job sometimes when you are being given the keys to chassis number 0000 and told to give it a bit of a thrashing on some horrible surfaces, and Sky, gotta say, I hope this comes across as enjoyment, because this is enjoyment. The reason why they went for this engine, though, I believe, is because it develops all that swell of torque low down, and that's kind of what you need off-road. Don't want to be revving it out, screaming it. And you forget how powerful even entry-level Carrera motors are now, because they're all turbo, which means the whole turbo name is sort of null and void, really. It's so comfortable, considering I am going over very aggressive ground. You can see I'm moving around in my seat, but I'm not like being thrown out and hitting the Race Tex headliner, also known as Alcantara, but come off, bit of understeer, but then go back into understeer. It's predictable as you want it to be with a Porsche. So engine-wise, the Dakar is identical in state of tune to the GTS. So that is 3 litre turbo, 480 PS, 570 Newton meters, and it develops that torque at like 2200 RPM. And that's the reason why they chose that car as the base for this. Lots of torque low down, good for off-roading, and plenty quick enough at nearly 500 horsepower. They have limited the top speed. And with the height control on highest setting, it won't do more than 106 miles an hour before it settles the car back down again. I'm not sure that matters too much, although it might do on a day like today. So we can't talk about the Dakar without talking about the gap between here and here, because that's what this is about. It's about suspension travel, longer travel suspension, longer struts, 50% softer spring rate actually, and cladding. You can see a bit like the Taycan Cross Turismo, this sort of Audi all-road style cladding. I did a review of the Cross Turismo, I'll put it above my head. And then the wheel and tyre combination is totally unique to the Dakar. They are white. They are 20s at the back, 19s at the front, whereas the GTS is 20s at the front, 21s at the back. They are Dakar specific, as are these tyres. They are, bizarrely, they are all-terrain tyres specifically developed for this car.
And when you come to needing new tyres for your car, head straight to blackcircles.com. Head to the Black Circles website, enter your vehicle registration number and your postcode, and then you'll find the most suitable tyres for your car and your budget. There are thousands of reviews of different tyres from real customers to help you choose the best tyres for your car. And with the Black Circles Click and Fit service, with over 2,000 tyre fitting partners, there will be a garage or a mobile tyre fitter conveniently located near you.
The brakes, they're in there. You can see them quite clearly because of this white wheel design. They are from a normal Carrera, so they are not GTS. And this whole car, despite the fact that it has numerous different skid plates, stainless skid plates down here, the one I showed you at the front and some other bits, it's actually only 10 kilos heavier than that car. So it's like 1,600, just over 1,600 kilos, which is pretty impressive, really. There is protection on the rear suspension arms as well, because of course the car is designed to get a bit of a hammering. This is just really, really alien, but in a good way, in a good way. Wow. Need to turn off traction control. Let's turn that off. Yeah, let's turn that off. So you can turn traction control fully off, of course, and you can turn it half off to allow that kind of play and slippage. In this weather, I'm just giving it half. I don't know the track. I don't fully understand the beast yet. And I'm not 21 anymore. I've been there and I've done that. Can you tell I'm enjoying this? I very much am. I don't know if it's the medication I've just taken, my painkillers, or whether it's the car is making me very much concentrate, but very much enjoy myself. Goes light now. Understeer into over. It's really talking though, in that way that Porsches just do. It's so cliche. Car journalist enjoys Porsche, shocker. There's just something about these cars. And here and now on the track, the size of it doesn't bother me. This latest generation of 911 is a wide car. I think a little too big. It's not that aspirational standing in pissing rain in Kent with a car covered in mud. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's clean, but this here is a stainless steel, I think, kind of like, not a diffuser, but more of a scuff guard with the exhausts nestled into that, and that gigantic towing eye similar to the front, and a Dakar script badge similar to all the other 911 script badge. And I do like this spoiler actually, I think it looks great. And a flash, the whole car does look very 959-ish. It also has rally mode launch control, just like if you've ever watched a rallycross car, you can do it like a rallycross car. In fact, let's try that. As is customary, launch control on 911s, dead easy, into D, left foot on the brake, right foot flat on the throttle. It should tell you that it's ready, and then man, that's quick. So rally mode still has a different version. It has a launch control, but it has a recalibrated launch control. And so that you can get the most out of this package. This wheel and tyre package, and obviously the surfaces that the customers may or may not be driving on. But also, of course, that was on tarmac. I'm now going to try it on the wet, gravelly, muddy stuff, because that is really where the e-diffs and all of the trickery of the Porsche's chassis control and traction have to work harder. Remember also, the Dakar has probably the slowest top speed of a 911, of a modern 911 ever, because it's heavily restricted. I think it's 140. Okay, I'm now going to do launch control on the dirty, muddy, gravelly stuff. So I'm going to pull up about Shah. Again, idiot-proof launch control on the 911, left foot on the brake, right foot on the throttle. Mash the throttle, wait, go. You got a short shift because you don't want to rev it out. You do not want to rev it out in this. It is so slippery out there, and it feels so strange. 173 grand's worth of car with an 18.5 grand paint job, driving through the dirtiest conditions that I can find in a dreary corner of Kent. Only dreary today, no offence to Kent people, it's just today. that's the dirtiest door handle of a sports car I've ever had to hold. You can see in there they've got almost like those 80s Volvo style rubber formed snow mats which say 911 Dakar. But talking of the interior, this has the optional Rally Sport package, which is a half roll cage bolted in, fire extinguisher, harnesses, and no Dakars have back seats. So ride height wise, I forgot to say, you can press a button inside and rise it front and rear 30 millimeters higher, but it sits as standard 60 mil higher than the GTS, which is 20 mil lower than a standard 911. Are you following this? Yeah. Carbon bucket seats as standard in this, and you cannot option, despite the fact you can buy that as a manual or a PDK, you can't buy the Dakar as a manual. It is PDK 8-speed only. There's an awful lot of what Porsche calls race text inside its Alcantara, with blue stitching all the way over the ceiling. Some of it is optional, some of it comes as standard like the carbon bucket seats. You don't need Dakar. No. A bit of mud and a bit of tarmac in Kent on a miserable, supposed to be spring day is just fine for me. Absolutely fine. The thing about the Dakar is at least it's using a name and a motorsport which Porsche dominated in. It's not like it's pretending to invent history. On the one hand, I'm thinking the smarter money, or the cars you'd more likely use in their situation, would be buying a regular GTS four-wheel drive for 120 grand and spending the remaining money on like an aerial Nomad off-roader. But here's the thing, this is phenomenal. What I hope is people that buy it actually do use it. They're only going to need to sell 2,500 of them. In fact, by the time you've watched this, they've probably all been sold anyway. But what a car, what a package. It shouldn't really work, but yet it feels very much at home, even on a miserable, muddy, horrible day here at Liddon Hill, which is no doubt steeped in history, with that old 911 sitting there, which I still can't believe survives. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Late Break Show. If you haven't already subscribed, why not subscribe? You can maybe become one of our Patreons, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. We even have merchandise for sale. Yes, we do. I'll put a link for that in the description. I'm very wet. I'm wearing the wrong colour trousers for today. Goodbye.